Yes, all right then, lads. Welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. We are back again, 9 p.m. Just like promised. We are here to talk about Dusan Vlahovic and the big man Fabrizio Romano. Actually, why I called it a major update is, for me, Fabrizio is the goat. Fabrizio is the best journalist I've come into contact with. His content, his information is just so good. So Fabrizio has actually come out and given us a big update on Dusan Vlahovic. That actually clears the air, and it clears a lot a lot of speculation around the player. We're going to see what Fabrizio Romano actually says about Dusan Vlahovic, but we shall also try to dive into the likes of Charles Watts and see what they have written, because a couple of reports have actually come out in the last 10 hours around Dusan Vlahovic, and they're so contradictory. And that's why I think it's good that one of them is Fabrizio Romano, because with Romano, you definitely have the right guy. You definitely, have the right man. So we're going to be diving, into much of what Fabrizio Romano thinks about Dusan Vlahovic to Arsenal. We're going to be diving into Charles Watts, what he has said about the transfer. Basically, what is the information around journalists that are very, very close to Arsenal and journalists that are very, very close to the player and Fiorentina in Italy. So it's going to be like a battle between journalists in England that are very close to Arsenal, saying basically their part is like Arsenal have not yet shown interest in Dusan Vlahovic, and journalists in Italy, including the likes of Di Marzio, including the likes of Fabrizio, are also telling a very, very different story. Why not? Let's smash a like on the video. Let's subscribe to the channel, guys, because this is the home of all Arsenal content. And believe me, I will try to give you the latest around the club. We're going to be discussing that and more, especially Dusan Vlahovic, but also Calvert-Lewin is now being fronted. And outlets have started fronting Calvert-Lewin as as the front runner to take over from Alexander Lacazette. Is it that is it going to be that way? Is it going to be Calvert-Lewin joining Arsenal? Charles Watts has already come out and said that there is a high expectation, there is a high possibility that in the summer the biggest transfer target for Arsenal is going to be a striker. So a lot is going to be discussed during this time. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and let's do this and get the party started. Yes, all right then, lads. Right. Let's get into it. Let's get into the content. Let's start off with Dusan Vlahovic, because for me, he's the main reason we are doing this video. Later on, we shall try to dive into Calvert-Lewin, because again, his transfer and the speculation around him is directly linked to the Dusan Vlahovic situation. Arsenal do want a striker, and we know that. Whether it's going to happen in January, that is what we do not know at the moment. There are a couple of situations we can take advantage of in January. One is Dusan Vlahovic, contract running down in the summer, could move on a free deal. The other is Andrea Bellotti, contract running down in the summer at Torino, could move on a free in the summer, right? So now you have all this positive talk, right? But you have very, very different contradicting reports around around these players. Now we're going to talk about Calvert-Lewin and we're going to talk about Dusan Vlahovic in this video. Right. Let's start off with Dusan Vlahovic. Now, to start from where it started, a report from Italy quoted Di Marzio saying that Arsenal do have an initial agreement with Fiorentina to sign Dusan Vlahovic. And I'm going to say that in a very, very calm way and a very, very calm voice. A report from Italy did indicate that Arsenal had got to a level where we had acquired an agreement, or where we had reached an agreement between us and Fiorentina to to sign Dusan Vlahovic. Di Marzio, because he was just quoted, I don't read Italian, but according to the sources that quoted Di Marzio as a source, they say that Arsenal had agreed terms with Fiorentina, but there had been no talks between us and the player. Actually, to be direct and precise, they said that Arsenal do not have an agreement with the player. They will need to convince the player to join them, right? They will need to convince the player to join them after agreeing on the price with Fiorentina. Now, the reports also indicated that Fiorentina representatives flew in, and this is where it gets very, very interesting, because reports indicated that Fiorentina representatives flew in in England, which is which is actually, I think, around 4 or 5 days ago, according to reports, and they flew in England, met up with Arsenal representatives, right? That is how far the reports actually did. So showing that there have been talks between us and Fiorentina. So that match is at least is known, is on account. And much of this has been branded as Gianluca Di Marzio content. And of course, we know if there is a journalist you're going to trust in Italy, Fabrizio is one of them, the GOAT, and that's why we are using his picture on the side for this video. But also, Gianluca Di Marzio, look, we can't disrespect him. We can't actually, say anything negative on his name. He's one of the best journalists there in transfers in the country itself. Italy. So, and of course, we remember last summer, Di Marzio is one of the is one of those journalists that we did follow a lot. Di Marzio is one of those journalists that really gave us massive updates around the club, especially in terms of transfers, when we're linked with the likes of Joaquin Correa, I think from Lazio, when we're linked with Manuel Locatelli from Sassuolo, when we're linked with Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu from what? I don't remember the club. Is Tomiyasu? Where did we get him? I don't remember the club. But look, most of the stories that came out from Italy were reported by either Fabrizio Romano or Gianluca Di Marzio. And for me, that is major. That is massive, right? That is absolutely major. That is absolutely massive. So all the reports around Dusan Vlahovic and Arsenal getting an agreement and Arsenal coming out to, show massive interest in the player have been reported as having originated from Gianluca Di Marzio. Now, the update around this is a little bit contradicting, but let us start off with Fabrizio Romano, because with Romano, at least his update is very, very, very okay. Look, I played for. We got Tomiyasu from Bologna. Thank you so much, bro. So look, Di Marzio said Arsenal did reach an agreement, and he said there is no talks between Arsenal, there is no agreement between Arsenal and the player. Fabrizio Romano came out and said, almost replicated the same thing. And look here, many people want to give, stick, want to, come out and, choke Gianluca Di Marzio about all this. But for me, Di Marzio has not said anything wrong. Not anything wrong. Let us first go through what Fabrizio Romano actually put out on this on this story. And in light of Gianluca Di Marzio, the content he put out is actually true. The content he actually put out is in line with what Fabrizio actually said. Because listen to what Fabrizio says, and this is Fabrizio on his official account on Twitter. He says there are currently no talks ongoing between Dusan Vlahovic agents, and I'm gonna stress that there are currently no talks, and I quote, there are currently no talks ongoing between Dusan Vlahovic agents and Arsenal board. Ghana's among clubs following Vlahovic situation, but there is nothing advanced as of today. Fiorentina wants 70 million euros, stroke 80 million euros to sell Vlahovic in January. He's out of contract in 2023. Now, guys, this is the story. That is the big update from Fabrizio Romano. Look, many people have actually come out, including Charles Watts, and they have said that I think Charles Watts and James Bank, and they have said, and I do love Charles Watts. You people know, in the summer, he's one of those journalists that were very, very, very on point and on spot, and I really, really rate him, and I really like him as a journalist. So he's come out and said that Arsenal is actually reportedly not interested in Dusan Vlahovic, that we might go for a striker in the summer, but he is not among the targets. Look, this is Charles Watts against Fabrizio Romano, and I want to believe Charles. I want to feel like Charles is right, because look, this is information between two parties that are close to look, I don't know, that are close to, not victims really, but that are close to the parties involved in this story. Fabrizio Romano and Di Marzio are close to Fiorentina and are close to the player because they are in Italy. So and that's why you can see that their story rhymes. Their story is not different. Fabrizio has not said that there is an agreement between Arsenal and Fiorentina, right? But he has said that there is nothing advanced at the moment. There are currently no talks between us and Dusan Vlahovic, but we are monitoring his situation. And what did Di Marzio say? Di Marzio said that Arsenal do have an agreement to sign the player. Probably one of his sources told him that, and he also said that on top of that, there is no agreement. There are no talks between Arsenal and Dusan Vlahovic agent. So I think the information rhymes together. The information is consistent. Information coming in from Italy is consistent. Before I give my opinion on it, I want to say the information coming in from Italy is consistent. Now let us go to information coming in from England, because there is also it's been much of denial. Look, I don't know why it is it's much of denial. I actually don't get it, right? I would say that I actually don't get it, but it's much of denial. And right, so the point that they are trying to make in England is this, right? James Bank. Let's start off with James Bank. 8 hours ago, he said, for all the talk of Dusan Vlahovic to Arsenal, I'm told the Gunners are not actively targeting him at the moment. There are no negotiations right now with Fiorentina. That is according to James Peng. Charles Watts has said, lots of talk about Vlahovic and Arsenal. My understanding of the situation is there have been no negotiations and he's still not a target. Signing a forward clearly will be high on the agenda next summer, but as it stands, he's not one they are looking at. Right. So this is interesting. This is very, very, very interesting, right? This is very interesting. So the information from England, because James Peng is close to Arsenal as a journalist, and Charles Watts is also close to Arsenal as a journalist. He's always in those press conferences. He works with Goal.com. Goal.com is a very, very credible Arsenal source. Not only Arsenal, really, but sports source. If you want, if you want a sports center where you go and read things that are real, where you go and read things that are good, I recommend The Guardian. I recommend Sky. I recommend the Goal.com, and I look, and a couple of other outlets that are really authentic that you know of. By Goal, I trust them. Charles Watts, I trust him. Look, now the question for me is, why would Charles Watts come out and say the player is not a target? Literally, Arsenal are not targeting Dusan Vlahovic 9 hours after Fabrizio Romano came out and said Arsenal and Spurs are monitoring the situation of Dusan Vlahovic. That is, for me, that is the question. But before we get into the discussion again, Ekrem Corner, one of the other journalists that I've always spoken about, and I've always loved, said, but there is a quote, there is another account from England still, and it's from the AFC agent. We used him in the summer, and this time he's saying that Vlahovic was on the radar during the summer as a target striker for the position. For sure, there have been discussions with representatives of the player previously, but as of the news, we are paying. But of the news, we are paying the asking price. I don't know about that. That is AFC agent. And lastly, Ekrem Corner has said that Arsenal is one of those clubs that are fighting off competition to sign Dusan Vlahovic. He also says that Fiorentina are open to selling in January. Right? Arsenal and Spurs are the clubs that have been reported to be interested. No other parties have been reported to be interested. It is Arsenal and Spurs at the moment. Interesting stuff. Absolutely interesting stuff. Look, as an Arsenal fan, I always love my club to be competing for players. I always love my club to be doing things the right way, and I cannot be more happy. I cannot be more more excited. But let's get into the discussion now, because this is where all the potential talk is going to come from. Fiorentina. Well, let us first look at the consistencies in the reporting. And then probably we shall iron out the inconsistencies, right? So, from Italy, Fiorentina are willing to sell the player this January transfer window, right? Because the player has apparently refused to sign a new contract, and the player wants to move on. He wants to carry on with his career. He might not want to stay in Italy. He might actually want to move on to either England in the EPL, probably Spain, probably Germany. He has not actually nailed it down. He's not actually saying that I want to go to Arsenal or Spurs or anything like that. At least we know Conte is interested. At least we know Arsenal is interested, right? I'll keep that point. So we know the player is for sale this January transfer window. And the price is also consistent, because Romano says they will sell if it is 70 to 80 million euros. Di Marzio also came out and said the same thing, that Arsenal did agree to pay the asking price, which is around 75 million euros. So that means that gives us the idea that actually there is consistency, there is truth, there is consistency that the player is to be sold in January, and the price is around that mark. The price is around 70 to 80 million euros. So that is consistent. Romano, because for me, I'm using Romano as the teacher, right? In this scenario, if you've said anything that contradicts Fabrizio Romano, I'll put into account Charles Watts. I'll put into account James Bank. But if you say anything contradictory to Fabrizio Romano, especially with a story that is originating from Italy, then we've got to choose Romano. We've got to follow Romano. We've got to believe that Romano is the right man, right? So Fabrizio also says that there are two clubs that are monitoring the situation of Dusan Vlahovic, because of course he uses the word monitoring, because we know he's a very I don't want to say skeptical, but he's a very clean journalist. So he wouldn't use words like competing. He wouldn't use words like fighting for. He wouldn't use words like trying to sign. No. He, unless he's absolutely 100% sure. So he says there are two clubs monitoring the situation. And for me, when he says monitoring the situation as Romano, there is genuine interest there, right? Why doesn't he say Atletico Madrid? Why doesn't he say Manchester City? Because even City want a striker. They're struggling. They probably could want a striker this January transfer window. Why doesn't he say City? Why doesn't he say or United? Because United could want a striker as well. They would want to try a bargain. Why doesn't he say a striker? He says, why doesn't he say City? He says Spurs and Arsenal are the two clubs following the situation, closely with, of Dusan Vlahovic. Now, let me correct everyone who thought that Arsenal is not, targeting this guy. Because remember, in the summer, reports came out that he was a target for Arsenal. No one came out to say he's not a target. No one said that. How come that in the next, from the summer, August, 4 months later, he's no longer a target. 4 months later, because in the summer, coming into the summer, he had actually scored 21 goals in around 37 appearances, right? So he starts the season well. There is an opportunity to sign him, and reports say, no, he's not a target. I don't believe that. For a player whose contract is actually running down, for a player who's doing better than he was when you wanted him, right? Unless it is the price, unless as Arsenal is saying, we are not paying 75 million, we're not paying 80 million euros for Dusan Vlahovic. But if it's not that, you can't convince us otherwise that they have now said the player is no longer good enough for us, we shall not sign the player. I'm not part of that cocoon that's going to believe that story, right? Yes, he might not join the club. I'm not really saying he's 100% going to join, but I know the interest is there, and the interest is genuine. So at least for the part of the Italian reports from the two trusted journalists from Italy, it is Romano and Di Marzio. They agree that Spurs and Arsenal are trying to sign the player, are monitoring the situation of the player, and the player is for sale, in January by Fiorentina, if anyone tables the right amount of money. Same information that has been, that has been said by Ekrem Kona. Same information that has been said by Ekrem Kona. He said it that Dusan Vlahovic wants to continue his career elsewhere. Fiorentina are willing to sell if the right offer comes in, right? They will be open to selling in January. So no problem there. There is no problem there. So let us talk about the consistency in England, which is James Peng and Charles Watts, both of them trusting their sources, and I do trust them, by the way, which is really funny. I'm really contradicted now. They are saying that there are no talks between us and Dusan Vlahovic. That is consistent with what is coming from Italy. But they're also saying that there is no talks between us and Fiorentina. Now, I cannot really write off their story on that account because it is not. We do not have more than one source to verify the fact that we've been talking to Fiorentina and representatives of the club actually flew in. We do not have more than one credible source. So, because we have two sources on the other side, that is James Bank and Charles Watts. Let's believe it that because look. If you're balancing a story in journalism, you've got to talk to people. You've got to have at least more than one source, right? And at the moment, like we've outlined and ironed out the consistencies, in reports coming out from Italy, we can also align the consistencies in England, because one thing you have to trust Charles Watts about is he is close to the club. He is close to Arsenal, just like Romano and Di Marzio are close to Fiorentina. So, and the two clubs in this, the two clubs acting as parties in this deal. That is Fiorentina and Arsenal. So, if a journalist from Fiorentina says yes, there have been talks, and the one in England says no, there have been no talks, where does it leave the audience? It's really funny. But Charles Watts, I trust him. Because look, he's one of those journalists. Actually, he is the journalist that reported the Thomas Partey story first. And then, if you still remember that summer, Fabrizio Romano coming out and saying, right, big up Charles for actually breaking the story. So he has credible sources. I trust him, and he has credible information. He did give us an update on Ben White. He gave us an update on Martin Odegaard and a couple of other, and a couple of other transfers. And I do follow him, and I can tell you 100% he is a credible journalist. Another one that wouldn't say something if they didn't get it from a good source. So at the moment, the side in England are saying no. There are no talks between us and Fiorentina, no talks between us and the player. In Italy, it's different. We are, they're saying we are actually monitoring the situation of the player. However, the agent, no talks at the moment. Okay, that is okay, and that is that actually makes a lot of sense. But let's get this clear. Gianluca Di Marzio has actually come out and said the agent of Dusan Vlahovic, which whom we have talked to, prior to this conundrum, is not picking up our calls. There we go. Again, because Romano has reported that we do not have talks between us and the representatives of the player, and now Di Marzio also came out and said the agent of Dusan Vlahovic, I need to get the name of that dude, is actually not picking up Arsenal calls. He's actually not picking up calls, and that is where, for me, the big deal is. That is for me. That is where the cutting point is. That is where the cutting point is. Why would an agent not pick up our calls? Why? I mean, like, why? For what? If you do not want to sell a player, tell us, pick up and tell us the player is not for sale, the player is not available, or we don't want to sell to you, or my client doesn't want to come to you. But the fact that reports are saying that he's actually ignoring Arsenal calls, it doesn't make sense for me. I don't know whether it would make sense for anyone else out there in the world. It absolutely does not make sense for me for an agent not to pick up calls. It wouldn't make sense. But this is what I've made. This is what I've made out of all this situation, and I'm going to try to join the dots and try to see what I think and what you people think. Make sure you smash a like on the video, people. We have 20 likes at the moment. That is still very, very low. Let's move them to at least 30 likes right about now. 10 more likes to do that. Thank you so much for doing that, and I'm absolutely grateful for that. People really in the comment section. I'm going to get to you, but make sure you do you do continue getting engaged in the comment section. So, people, look, this is my own explanation of the situation around Vlahovic and Arsenal and the agents and Romano and all the reports that have been reported. And like I said, until football comes back, because look, football, I think starting on Monday, I'll be doing match of Arsenal-Liverpool. It's a big game, so we're going to have a whole week creating content for it. Before football comes back, I'll try to dive into all the stories that I've, that I didn't report, and all the stories that are actually coming up to try to make sense of such stories, right? So let me say this. Arsenal trying to contact the agent of Dusan Vlahovic and the agent not picking up. Does it make sense? At some point, it doesn't make sense. Because for me, be straightforward. Pick up the call and say, it's just professional if he picks up the call, right? It's just professional if he picks up his call and says, we are not selling to you. We are not actually joining your club. As an agent, he has the authority to do that. I mean, if it's Mino Raiola and he doesn't want his agent to play for your club, he's gonna say it, right? He's gonna say, look, we don't want to be anywhere close to you. Sorry, we don't want to be anywhere close to you. And everyone would understand that. But why it would make some sense for me is Vlahovic is a young striker, a young player that needs protection. At the moment, he's gotten all this kind of it's kind of hype around him. He's one of the best young strikers. He's being, he's being, compared to Erling Haaland. He's being compared to the likes of Calvert-Lewin. So you can see that there's a lot of hype. Maybe the agent is trying to protect the player because look, the club has come out and said and made it very clear that for them they will sell. For me, if a club comes out to that extent and say we will sell a player, I would have thought that the agent, it's now the work and responsibility of the agent to take up, whatever is going, whatever next step is there. Right, find the right buyer for your client, and someone who, a club that will pay the money that you want, and a club that will pay the money that Fiorentina want. And if it has been reported that Arsenal want to pay the 70 million euros, I'm still asking myself, why is the agent blocking the deal? Maybe because we are not in the Champions League. Maybe he wants his agent to be in the Champions League. Maybe he wants his agent to go to a club that is playing somewhere in Europe. That would make sense, right? Because it's always going to be a disadvantage until we go back to Europe. It's always going to be a big disadvantage that we cannot attract players, even those that would be fine to play in the Europa League. At the moment, we cannot attract them. It's always it's a big problem. You remember, in the summer when we were talking about players like Lautaro Martinez, he wanted Champions League. When we're talking about Joaquin Correa, he wanted Champions League. When we're talking about the likes of Houssem Aouar, reports are that he wanted Champions League. However much, at the end, he wanted to compromise and join Arsenal, despite the fact that we didn't have Champions League or Europa League. But the likes of Kamavinga, they want Champions League. So maybe the agent is looking at it in this way. If it is January, then we move to a club that has Champions League. If it's January, we move to a club that has Europa League. That can make some sense, right? That can make some sense. So for me, the fact that it's not the club that is blocking this deal, and it is the agent, it is the players' camp, I'm not worried about that, because things do change, right? Agents want money. Agents could, I'm not saying we can buy him off, because anyone would say, Cossy, that is corruption and things like that. I'm not saying that we can buy him off, but you could give them an enticing deal that they cannot refuse. Place an enticing deal on the table that they cannot refuse, and and you have your player. But anyway, I thought about a couple of things why Dusan Vlahovic and the agent could be ignoring Arsenal. And one, I thought player protection. Like I said, trying to protect the player, because look, he's doing well at the moment. He's doing well. His statistics are absolutely lit in the Italian Serie A, and wherever he's played, this season. So, such transfer speculation could actually blow away the player. James Maddison spoke about it, right? And I think I did report about it today, not today, this week or last week. And he said that when you're linked with such a big move, right? And this is me being a little bit anecdotal. When you're linked with such a big money move, when you're linked with a big club, you can be blown away. You can get carried away, and no one will ever blame a player unless you're not in your right thinking capacity. I think no one will ever, and no one should ever blame a player for getting carried away because they have been linked with a big money move. No one should ever, because it is only natural. Just imagine. I don't know how, look, 70 people watching. Just imagine this, just one of just you. One of you at your place of work, and then the CEO resigns, and a list of potential replacements for the CEO comes out, and you're on that or you're on that list for the potential for the CEO. You know what does? You know what that does? Look, many people are gonna say objectively, which I really think that at times humans do not actually act objectively on first instinct. What you're gonna say objectively is, if I'm on that list, I'm going to start working harder than I was. I'm going to come early at work than I was earlier. and I'm going to try to create this kind of rapport with the whole community at the workplace, and probably be a boss-like figure that would be accepted in the end. But let me tell you, as you try to do that, as you try to act boss-like so that you get the job, you're forgetting your responsibilities and you're throwing away your responsibilities. And look, I don't know whether I don't know whether the speculation actually affected James Madison, because he has not started well this season. I don't want to blame it on my team. I don't want to blame it on Arsenal. It could be that he had issues. It could be that he just didn't start well. It could be that he lost confidence. But the truth is that transfer speculation is one of those things that do affect players. So if the agent's doing player protection, because if he picks up the calls, if he starts talking to Arsenal, then he's actually legitimizing, right, the talks. So maybe what he wants to do is play cool, play all this off, try to tell Dusan Vlahovic, settle, look forward. You have to score many goals as possible so that the big giants actually look at you. And I'll be very, very understanding. However much I'm an Arsenal fan, however much I know how much I love my club, but I'll be very, very understanding if an agent actually told his player, look forward, first forget all this Arsenal talk, right? Forget all the Arsenal talk, look forward and be very, very strong. But apart from that, if the agent is actually known on player protection, because we know humanity, as humans, we are selfish, right? And we want to get the best deals that actually benefit us the best. So for me, if he's not actually picking up, if he's not currently settling anything with the club, with any other club, probably, let's think about it in this way, probably he wants his agent to be a free agent in the summer, right? Because for me, I'm looking at this in this way. Fiorentina have actually moved ahead, right, and said, okay, we are selling in this January. It's like they put up a very big, very, very big banner. Vlahovic, 80 million, right? They have made the advertisement. They have already put out the advertisement. Vlahovic, 80 million. Whoever has the money, please come and take the player. He is available, right? He is available. Please come and take the player. So with the advertisement now, gone, the bigger question, the bigger picture, right, would be, why is the agent not responding positively, right? That's the big question. Why is the agent not responding positively? And for me, the agent not responding positively, I'm going to take it in one or two ways. And the first one is that he might want his agent to actually become a free agent, because look, when he has a free agent, things are working out for him, right? If he makes Dusan Vlahovic a free agent in the summer, they get a big sign-on fee, right? Because if you're going to pay 80 million in January, 6 months later, if the player is going to come to your club I don't even believe they're free players. They're not free. They're not free players. They're not there. You're just out of contract. But when a club is signing you, you actually cost them some money, right? We've seen the likes of Messi. He's one of the most expensive. He's one of the. He's the most expensive one. He's the most expensive free agent in the world. Does that even make any sense? How can you say player ABC is actually the most expensive free agent? How can you say that? The most expensive free agent? Does it make sense? But look, they're not free players. So if Dusan Vlahovic actually runs out of contract, right, that means Fiorentina lose him on a free. But if you ask whether you Arsenal, City, or Spurs, you have to give him a sign-on fee, right? And that sign-on fee is not going to be 2 million. It's not going to be 3 million, because he's free, because he's young, because he has a high ceiling, because he has a high resale value. All those things are going to be put into account, and you're going to pay at least 10, 20 million sign-on fee. So if it is 20 million sign-on fee, agent takes 10, player takes 10, they have done, they made very, very good money. At least we've had that there's some sign-on fees that go beyond 20 million, right? So it could be that they want to take the bread alone. It could be that, look, it's humanity. In business relations, you always want to take all the money, right? You want to take all the money. You want to do things your way and take all the money. So, in my own opinion, the agent could be thinking about that. And of course, in the summer, if he's free, it brings about a lot of competition. I think Dortmund will want him to replace Erling Haaland. I think City, if they don't get Haaland, they will want him. United will want him. Conte already wants him at Spurs, and a couple of other reasons. But we'll try to see what actually happens out of that. But look, my thoughts do not change. I feel like Arsenal need an opportunity on that guy, right? I feel like we need an opportunity on that guy, and I feel like we can get it. I don't know. I just feel like we can get it. Smash a like on the video. In the comment box, I've asked you, would you take Dusan Vlahovic or Calvert-Lewin? And 86 of you are actually saying at the moment you would take Dusan Vlahovic. I don't know why you do not like Calvert-Lewin, but I hope it is not my influence. Continue voting. Smash the like button. We are at 36. Let's get them to 40. 4 more likes to do that. We are at 36. 4 more likes to do that. Let's get that done right about now. The beautiful people at Cossy's Arsenal podcast and the beautiful Arsenal fans. So, guys, the last quarter of this video, I'm going to add Calvert-Lewin to the mix. Now, according to Charles Watts, and this is a little bit, funny. I don't know whether it's funny or not, but according to Charles Watts, right? According to Charles Watts, Arsenal are looking at Calvert. Did I say Charles Watts? I don't think it's the story is not from Charles. The story is not from Charles. No, because it was reported earlier before Charles actually, entered this race. Look, I think I did retweet that on my Twitter handle. I could just look for it. I did retweet that, and I just need to find the source. Because it's not Charles Watts. I've only done one story from Charles Watts today, right? Okay, this is it. Listen, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the leading candidate to replace Alexander Lacazette should the Frenchman leave Arsenal at the end of the season. All right? Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the leading candidate to replace Alexander Lacazette should the Frenchman leave Arsenal at the end of the season. That was from Joe the Gooner. And this is not the first time we're hearing of Dominic Calvert-Lewin being linked with Arsenal, and probably that player that replaces Alexander Lacazette and the new striker. We've also had a lot of talk around how Calvert-Lewin is the perfect striker and how Calvert-Lewin is the striker Arsenal want to take in the summer and replace Lacazette and Aubameyang long term. Now, I'm going to say this. Calvert-Lewin is not a bad striker. I do not fancy him. I do not actually rate him like many people do. I feel like there is some kind of overreaction, right? There is a show, I don't know whether Laurie is still doing it, but he did a show called Weekend Overreactions. And I just feel like there is some kind of overreaction around Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yes, he's played at Everton. He's played in the Premier League. He's Premier League proven. He's young. He has a high ceiling. He's English. He knows the league. There's so many advantages that come with signing Dominic Calvert-Lewin. One, the fact that English reports are saying that Arsenal are not actually interested in getting Dusan Vlahovic could be the fact that they believe Calvert-Lewin is the player we want. And it is true, because if you look at our latest trend of recruitment, it's been players from we've had a couple of players from that are homegrown, right? Benjamin White, homegrown. You have the goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale, also homegrown as well. Now and now we have the likes of Saka homegrown, the likes of ESR, and in the summer we did get a statement of how homegrown talent is going to be fancied at Arsenal Football Club. So maybe Calvin Lewin could be the man. But for me, I still struggle to accept. Look, maybe he can prove me wrong, just like Aaron Ramsdale did. Thanks everybody. You guys hit the like button, and we're now at 40. So maybe he could prove me wrong, just like um Ramsdale did, and he comes in at Arsenal, he becomes the striker. Because the good thing with Lewin is he's not a lazy striker actually. He's not a lazy striker. My problem though is I see him really feed off area balls a lot, right? And I just feel like we need an all-round striker. We need that kind of striker that can that can feed off each and every ball in every situation. Because against, if you're playing Burnley, right? If you're playing Burnley, you're not going to win as many headers as opposed when you play Crystal Palace. Palace, you will win the headers. Aston Villa, you will win the headers. But against the likes of Burnley, you might not win as many headers as you want, right? The likes of Takowski are not going to let you do that. Then against clubs like Brighton, again, they do have a giant in there. You might not win as many headers as you want, and maybe the route is actually to go on the field. So look, Calvin Lewin, I might be wrong about him. My instincts, and this is me trusting my instincts. My instincts do not actually tell me he's that kind of player that Arsenal should go out and stretch and stretch for and get. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong on a couple of players, but I've also been right on a couple of players. But for me, Calvin Lewin, if Arsenal decide to go for Calvin Lewin for a reported a staggering probably 70 million. It's interesting, isn't it? It's really interesting. It's really interesting. 70 million. It's staggering 70 million. Why not go for a player like Dusan Vlahovic? Because look, 70 to 80 million in January, that money could actually reduce significantly. And I believe so. That money could reduce significantly. It's the same thing with Zakaria. It's the same thing with we've been talking about Belotti. Look, clubs do put out these prices, right? Just as something to say that the player is for sale, but they know they have a lesser advantage in the situation. So if you talk about 50, they'll listen. If you talk about 40, they'll listen. 60, they'll listen. So Calvin Lewin, 70 million. Would I take him? I don't know, but I just don't trust my my feeling when it comes to to Dominic Lewin, and it's really really opposed when it comes to players like Oli Watkins. I've always believed that he's 25. I've always believed like if we got a player like Oli Watkins, he could work for us. He's a good striker. I like the way he manages his body and his himself in the penalty area. He runs a lot. When we do not have the ball, he's gonna be working hard for us to get it back. He's not a lazy striker. I feel like I've always felt like if we could get someone like that, and look with Oli Watkins, it could be a big struggle. It could be a very very big struggle unless if Project Aston Villa crumbles. If Project Aston Villa crumbles, then they'll have no problem with selling. But if you look at what Aston Villa are trying to do at the moment, they're not building a team to sell players. They're actually building a team either to compete for UEFA Conference League or Europa League. Champions League, that is an overreaction. I won't actually, I won't take that. I won't take that in. 44 likes. Thanks everybody for doing that. Let's get them to 50. 6 more likes. 6 more likes. I'm absolutely grateful. For your contribution, guys. Really, really, grateful. So, I'm going to see what you people, what you people think about these transfers and probably, get it in. So let's get those 6 likes in right about now. And as I look at what you people are saying in the chat, how are you doing, brother Cossy? I'm good, Ivan. How are you? Secure Blocker says, welcome, Cossy. Anna says, Cossy, Isaac is better than. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, look, there is another. Why don't you allow me do for you a beautiful video tomorrow around these three: Calvert-Lewin, Alexander Isak, and and Dusan Vlahovic. Look, Isak is another, and I've seen Liverpool are trying to find a way of getting him to the Anfield. Klopp wants him at the Anfield, but another player that we've really been linked with is Alexander Isak. Swedish masterclass. It's a very look. I like look. I don't look. It's not about the goals he scores, right? Because look, and this is so shameful of me because it should be about. It's a debate about goals, right? It's a debate about goals. How much can you hit the back of the net? But for me, it's not the goals. The moments I've watched Alexander Isak, it's far away from the goals. It's his personal, it's his personal. I don't know what I should say. It's his personal talent as a player, right? The way he acts with the ball, the way he's so comfortable, the way he's so confident. You may think he's 25. That guy is what, 20, 19, 20? He's so young, but he's very, very comfortable on the ball. Look, we should have a big debate on that one, and it will come. But tomorrow, I promise, in the morning, early in the morning, I'll be giving you updates around those three, and my opinion, my honest, selection will come in the morning. Who do I take among those three? Make no mistake. Make sure you do vote in the voting section in the poll. Who do you take at Arsenal among those two? Is it Dusan Vlahovic? The vote has actually dropped now to 81%. Dusan Vlahovic. Calvert-Lewin 19%, but still very, very low. Still very, very low. 108 votes. Let's get them to at least 200 votes, and that is where we can actually decide what you guys want. 80. Let's get them to 50. Let's get them to 50 likes. 6 more likes, people. If you're generous enough, 6 more likes. Hit the like button. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So that was Ernest. Anu said, "Good evening, brother. How are you doing? I'm brilliant." Taka says Calvin Lewis is the player you would want. Cossy, it's Bologna. All right, thank you so much. I got that. Eric says Cossy is a long time. How are you, my brother? How are you doing, bro? Long time to you too, Eric. I said we need a striker like Antonio of West Ham and Alexander Isak. Look, the two strikers you're actually putting together. Look, I admire West Ham because they have Antonio. I envy them. That's the word. I envy them because they have a striker that can cause all sorts of trouble in the penalty area, in the 18 yards box, but outside the box, he's deadly. He's up. He's got the power. He's got the brain. He's got the the perfection. He knows where the net is. Look, if you get a player like that, which kind of striker do I think is like that? That energetic. That maybe Raul Jimenez. I feel like Raul Jimenez is a big threat as well. If you got a striker of that build, I think Arsenal would actually be flying. I think we would really, really be flying. 2 more likes to our target. Thanks everybody for doing that. I appreciate. I really do appreciate. Secure Blake says Antonio is too old, bro. And look, yeah, Antonio. I mean, you wouldn't go for Antonio. I wouldn't, say Arsenal should go for Antonio. I think the age bracket is beyond what we want to do. We need a striker like Calvert-Lewin or Luka Jovic. Yeah, Luka Jovic has also been linked with highly with with Arsenal. Taka. He's also been linked highly with Arsenal. Morgan says Cossy is Alexander Isak. We want Tony. Hit the like button, share, and comment. Thank you so much, my man. Tony. Alan says Arsenal need versatile midfielder, box to box, 8 right-footed winger, 11 and centre forward 9, and Champions League football is guaranteed. I hope so, Alan. I hope so. Anu says Arsenal should just act fast about Vlahovic. And then Anu is saying that if Vlahovic agent is not picking the calls, let's forget him and go for someone else. Yeah, I mean, look, it's too early to give up. It's too early to give up at the moment. It's too early. I would say that. Yeah, I would say it's too early to give up. I wouldn't give up that early, honestly. I wouldn't give up that early. Secure Block, I says I would prefer Alexander Isak. Zondi says Arsenal act fast, please. And then Thomas says, what happened to Alexander Isak? Dixon Peter says, will Alexander Lacazette leave in January? The chances are not high. Chances are not high that he will leave in January, but chances are that he will leave in the summer. And then Mohammed says, Calvin Lewin is favorite because he is Premier League player. Look, for me, for me, it's never, or it's not always about that. It's not always about that. But look, it counts. It does, it does serve a very, very big purpose. When you, Lord, and I and a couple of people say, oh, he's Premier League proven. We go, we need to go for him. He's Premier League proven. Yeah, it does. Look, it counts a lot, right? It counts a lot. But for me, it's not the biggest thing in the world. Like, would you take Messi? Yeah, you would. Has he ever played in the Premier League? No. Would you take Sergi Busquets? Yeah. Has he ever played in the Premier League? No. Would you take Gavi? Yeah. Would you take Pedri? Yeah. Has he ever played in the Premier League? No. So look, there is talent out there. There is talent out there. And look, the Premier League has given us this kind of scope and lens that we view its content through. We are the big. We are the big league. We are the Super League. We've got the quality. If you want a good player, come to the Premier League. Wow, that's a nice advert, isn't it? Come to the Super League. Come to the Premier League. If you want a good coach, come to the Premier League. If you want competitiveness, come to the Premier League. And then, and yet VAR keeps on doing a lot of, a lot of stupid mistakes, every time and every now and again in the Premier League. Look, I think Lewin being Premier League proven, again, it doesn't make him the first candidate on that, right? It doesn't make him the first candidate. Would I take Erling Braut Haaland over him? Yes. Has Haaland played in the Premier League? No. So it doesn't make him. It doesn't make him that, but it gives him that slight advantage that if you sign him, he doesn't struggle to cope up with the league. That's the only thing I'm looking at there, right? It's the only thing. 90 people watching. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure you do smash a like on the video right about now. We had 50 likes. Let's get them to 60 at least. 10 more likes to do that. So I want players. I do fancy players that are played in the Premier League. I said it in the summer when it came to Ruben Neves, Manuel Locatelli, and Renato Sanchez. And I said that the reason I take Ruben Neves, one was he's not injury prone, and the other is he gives you that kind of Premier League experience. So you would take him for that. But the Premier League experience shouldn't be the first thing you look at. No. The Premier League experience is like an added incentive. It's like what is it? What are they called? They're called post purchase advantages, right? After the purchase, there are those advantages that come along, right? Those are post-purchase advantages. Look, you don't look. Just imagine if we went and brought in Christian Benteke. Benteke has played at Liverpool, at Aston Villa, and at Crystal Palace. Should we sign Benteke because he's Premier League proven? No, definitely not. So I wouldn't go for a player because it's Premier League proven, but I would first look at the statistics and what he would offer, the other advantages that matter, right? What is your conversion rate? How often do you score? What is your XG per 90? What's your XG per season? If your XG is good, if your XG per 90 is good, no problem. Get the man, he's Premier League proven. And I'll be one of the people who shout, get the man, he's Premier League proven. But if you are not good enough, I'll never say you're Premier League proven, let's get you. I'll never say that, right? I'll never say that. All the players that I've backed for Arsenal to sign in the Premier League, I think it was only Ben White who had played one season in the Premier League. Ramsdale had played two, one with Bournemouth, relegated, and the other with Sheffield United, and relegated as well. But he played in the Premier League for at least more than 50 games in the Premier League. So look, bottom point, Premier League proven, I'll take the player. But not because it's Premier League proven, but because he's good, and being Premier League proven comes as an added incentive, right? Cossy, this is Dixon Peter. He says, Cossy, can you please send us the WhatsApp address. All right. Point taken. Point taken. Simon says, how many years does Antonio have? We need Vlahovic. And look, I think if he's young, Michael Antonio, if he's young, then he must be 28, 29. But I think he's clocking 30, or he has clocked 30. Yeah. I think he's clocked 30. I think he's close to 30. He's not a young player. I think we've seen him for some time at West Ham. We've seen him for some time, right? He's 31, right? He's 31. So we've seen him at some time. We've seen him for some time. He's 31. Look, signing a 31-year-old striker, I would rather go for a 29-year-old, Raul Jimenez. Because if you want to replace Lacazette, who is 31, and you want to replace him with a 31-year-old, old Michael Antonio, it doesn't work. It doesn't really work. But look, Vlahovic all day long, right? Vlahovic all day long. Thanks everybody for tuning in, guys. Really means a lot. And thanks everybody for smashing the like button. You guys are the real ones, and you are the real, Cossy's Arsenal army. So make sure you don't forget. We always have these shows early in the morning, at 11 a.m. I think UK time. Now that has changed, and look, it's so difficult to calculate. But I think UK time 9 a.m. A show should be up. A show should be up. UK time 9 a.m. and East African Standard Time and general time. I think it is 11 a.m. That show is there. Then we have one at 5 p.m. Coming slightly earlier at 4:45. So make sure by 4:40 you're tuning in. We always have that show at 4:45, and of course in the evening this show at 9 p.m. Which actually collides with one big show that I really love to watch. But 9 p.m. we'll have this show always on a daily basis. I'll have to sacrifice one of my shows and watch it on replay, which I actually do not have a problem with. So anything else you people are saying about strikers and who you like to come in? Simon Onyango Simon saying how many years? We've seen that. And then Triple D is saying that Alexander Isak would be a big signing. We need to go all out and get him. All right, guys. So that is it. For today. I'll speak to you very, very soon. It's been a very, very interactive, interesting stream. You guys have smashed the like button. You guys have subscribed to the thing. I believe if you've subscribed, during this podcast, I'm really, really happy. I'm really, really happy if you've subscribed today. 2 more likes to get them to 60. Please, let's do that. 2 more likes to get them to 60. 2 likes. 2 likes to get them to 60. Now the vote, before we leave, the vote has actually ended. Vlahovic 80%, Calvert-Lewin 20%. Right? That is the vote, and it is ended. And obviously, I'll speak to you in the next one. 2 more likes. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the thing. I'll see you very, very, very soon. Hey!